So they'll be calling you a radical. So I'm here in Ogden, Utah, and so I was just in Trader Joe's buying some food, and this kid comes up to me and he says, "Dude, you're the tide pool guy." Yeah, that's me. And by the way, I never name myself no tide pool guy. Never. But when I'm working them down the coast, So this is important because it's getting a lot of media attention finally now, is the herds trampling the tide pools in SoCal, especially in La Jolla and PB. Those exact tide pools that I've heavily and I've screamed about this for years. They're protected, and there's an absolute art form to tide pool, and I've got it down. Nobody can tide pool like Kevin. Nobody on the planet has ever documented tide pools like Kevin Blanch has over the years. Nobody even comes close. At historic low tides and this historic acute collapse. And this young man was like, "Yeah, I was going to San Diego State University down there." I said, "You from here?" "Yeah." And he says, "I watched all your videos." He says, "And I studied some marine biology." And I says, "Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking what happened to those things." He says, "Oh my God." He says, "It's really heartbreaking." And we talked. And so it's getting tons of attention all over because tide pool, the low tides, the last two cycles have been in the afternoons on a weekend. And so, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the masses have been out just trampling the fuck out of them, going crazy, which they do. They have no etiquette, no respect, no nothing. And by the way, tide pools along the entire coast, Washington, Oregon, California, are protected. But as you know, I've screamed about it. What the fuck good's that do? Don't scare the terrorists. Tourists. Don't scare the terrorists. Tourists. They won't police it. So what life is left, and there's so much good footage out there because there's so many people, and it's been 3, and I wasn't able to make it this year because oh my God. Well, it's expensive. And I've documented so heavily, and I could just keep beating the dead horses. Every historic low tide, I've got it so well documented. It's not like it was in the old days. I had to go to a public library, use a bloggy, a flip camera. I remember working Central Coast, standing out front of libraries for hours, fucking touching my iPad, trying to catch some Wi-Fi to upload. It was difficult. It isn't now. You just click your phone, upload right where you're there. So there's so much footage showing up, especially on Facebook. And Channel 8's finally decided, fuck, those bootlickers have finally decided to start doing some work on, say, there. Hundreds and hundreds of people just out there. And as you know, I videoed people poaching multiple times in La Jolla, PB, OB, poaching, octopus, pulling rocks, whatever. Now, the tide pools are still radically crashed, 99%. And they crashed he says, well, he told me, he says, he called me the tide pool guy just now, right here at the Trader Joe's in Riverdale, Utah. And he says, well, your work's unarguable, he says. Obviously, something happened in 2012 because they're dead. Even our professors talk about it. And I says, yeah, they won't bring up. And he says, oh, no, a couple of those guys, your name gets brought up. And he says, your work's unarguable. I says, well, something wiped him out in 2012. It sure wasn't wasting disease because why? Because the sea anemones went at the same time. The slugs. By the way, that footage right there in La Jolla that I shot of the California hares, you know what a California hare is? The black slugs with the... Remember, I videoed hundreds of them at Stank Bank. And it's been verified by Monterey Aquarium. 2 different people that work there says the footage you videoed of the one is probably the biggest California hare ever. And why? Because they can feed on sewer. And as you know, I've well documented the algae, the invasive species heavily. I have hundreds of videos and hundreds of hours of raw footage. And remember, I was full of cancer doing all this work, sleeping in a sleeping bag. I've been down at historic low tides. The footage I have is something else, and it's an art. Trust me. I remember a guy came to me, a lifeguard came to me, and he says, Me and my two sons watched you from the shack at sunset over there on PB Point. We watched you for an hour and a half. I never seen anything like it. You're so far out there, and the way you glide across the top of those freaking rocks, I says, yeah, it's incredibly athletic. I mean, I've slipped. Remember, I broke my hand. Remember, I cracked my head, had blood, staying at that little dumpy-ass beachcomber in those days. But I heavily documented it, and they're right, finally. These herds of terrorists just trampling through is so obscene, so disgusting, picking up stuff, going through it. You know, Point Loma's really the worst. But Point Loma's so fucking wiped out and dead. So is La Jolla. And by the way, I'll tell all you tourists, trampling through there at low tide is toxic as fuck. I mean, the second I get back, and I'm on top of rocks, I don't get in the water, as you know. I glide across the top and I video. First thing I do is bleach off. I bleach off. Those tide pools are fucking toxic as fuck. Tijuana, oh yeah. Sewage, oh hell yes. But, Fukushima, they're wiped out. It's unarguable, and I've been looking at footage the last couple of days because I'm really great. A lot of footage showed up because there's so many eyes out there. Not getting better, you get further up north in Washington, Oregon, and you'll find some. And I've always found some, right? I don't ever get skunked. Like the Crystal Pier. Nobody's documented. Nobody knows the Crystal Pier like I know. They did the Great Sea Star search in 2024. And they, sponsored by the Birch Aquarium, those bootlickers, and San Diego State University, and the scumbags on the hill. SDSU, those lowlifes, UCSD, which are criminal derelicts. I'm a butcher, what's a cow? I'm a baker, what's a cake? I'm a marine biologist, what's Fukushima? And so they had thousands and thousands of eyes all year long. You know how many sea stars they counted? The San Diego coast is 70 miles long. And I've worked every square inch of it, as you know. Well, Orange County, LA County, Monterey. All of it, as you know. Sleeping in my sleeping bag. For many, many years. They counted 50. Kevin Blanch, the same year, counted 123 in one sitting, because I know where to go. I know where they're at. On the bottom of the Crystal Pier is the most sea stars in all SoCal by far. And I have my theories. It's created its own little ecosystem. The cottage is up there, and you've heard my theories a million times. And me and the young guy named it the Passera, as you know, as the kelp is washed dead. Documenting the wells, all of it. So, but they're finally right. I've been screaming about this year on my YouTube videos for years about these people out there digging through tide pools, just tromping through but now it's in earnest because it was on a weekend. It was 3:00 in the afternoon, and terrorism, these tide pools are protected. And as you know, you watch the way I go through them. There's a fucking incredible etiquette and incredible art. I never, ever flip a rock. I never, ever reach over and touch anything. I tiptoe and glide across the rocks like a shorebird. It's an art. That's the etiquette. It is illegal to touch it. It's illegal to stomp through them in a bunch of big rubber boots. It's illegal. It's illegal to net. Yet people post videos, and yet California refuses to police it. Why? I just told you why. Tourist economy. Don't say the terrorists. Tourists. By the way, all you people that tromp through there, you're fools. How many people go home and get sick? A lot. Those tide pools are fucking toxic as hell. Whoops. Let's see if I can start the car. There we go, sorry. And those tide pools are toxic as hell. You're out in those tromping along. How many people come home and get sick? They're toxic, dude. They're really toxic. As you know, you've watched me for decades. hundreds and hundreds of hours. And I've never called myself the tide pool guy, ever. Never. That's what people in California call me. I mean, I'm working up and down that coast, wherever people come around, oh, it's the tide pool guy. Well, Kevin Blanch, probably the most historic, famous marine biologist in history. You know, the Great Pacific Genocide, well documented, but nobody knows tide pools in California. I mean, nobody. Not even Doc Ricketts. Who's the most famous marine biologist in the history of California? Well, it was Doc Ricketts, right? Doc Ricketts have a marine biology degree? Fuck, Doc Ricketts didn't even go to college. I think he went 1/4 at University of Chicago. And I don't think he even studied marine biology. A lot of people called him the poacher. Yet one of the greatest tide pools on the planet. Well, Monterey Bay, come on, man. It's not a cliche. It's so incredible. It's called, the Great Tide Pool is called the Doc Ricketts Tide Pool there. I mean, but I get no fucking credit. And I have credentials. I have multiple fucking college degrees. I went to the #1 school in the country. You know, and so trained by the best, the Abalone Coalition. You know, I mean, saw the struggle, but they're finally right. These people trampling through these fucking tide pools is disgusting. Well, it just shows you the arrogance. People don't give a fuck. It's disgusting. It's against the law. Yet California refuses to police it. It's unbelievable. I mean, I video people poaching freaking octopus and put it on YouTube. Nothing. Yet we're out of Point Reyes, and some crazy dude I really don't even know rolled up and got near a spotted seal, and somebody called off my video, and they called me. I says, I didn't do it. I mean, dude. Yet they'll let people tromp through these fucking tide pools like that. It's disgusting. It's arrogant. Well, it just shows you what about you. Just like the well petters. The well petters are the same thing. It's against the law to come within 300 yards of wells on a boat. Fuck, they'll crash right into them. Again, California. Terrorist economy and tourist economy. I mean, they'll do anything. I remember across from Diablo Canyon, I'm tide pooling there, and they're renting spaces right across from the nuclear reactor. There's that girl in the bikini. She's 9 months pregnant. I said, you know what that is right there? She says, what? Right across where they're parked in their RV. I says, that's a nuclear reactor. You know, Harvard finally comes out with a study now and says, yeah, the closer you get to a nuclear energy reactor, the higher your probability of cancer. No shit. So anyway, you know, they're finally screaming about it on the news. Well, how long have I been screaming about it? But lots of eyes on tide pools and lots of videos showing up, and this acute catastrophe. You can deny my work all the fuck you want. I hypothesized it. I well documented it. I defended my work. And it's not wasting disease, and I'll tell you why it's not wasting. Because the sea stars collapsed in 2012. So did the sea anemones. So did all the creatures of the tide pools. How well have I documented? Nobody on the planet has ever documented tide pools like me. Never, ever. And yet I get no fucking credit. I get no nothing. Yet the tide pool guy says, I says, yeah, I guess. So anyway, it's disgusting. California allows it. I related to baseball. Here's Barry Bonds, who's already a Hall of Famer. Every swinging dick in major leagues is using Balco. They're juicing. He sit back and watch every record he ever had get broke. He's like, baseball's not going to clean it up? It's baseball's fault. They didn't want to clean it up. They want to turn the home run when Brady Anderson hits 50. He's like, okay, fuck it. I got it. You got to get on the same level playing field as them. Breaks San Diego, Ted Williams' fucking all-time on-base record by how many points? I mean, whose fault was it? It was baseball's fault. Not the players. They knew what was going on. Same with the fucking tide pools. And whose fault is it? The sheep? Well, I personally think it's fucking vile and disgusting as fuck. You know how I am. How many videos you watched? I'm so delicate. I really like getting my feet wet. I go out all the way. I cover it like no other. Nobody has covered fucking California tide pools in the history of California like Kevin Blanch. Nobody. Yeah, fuck me. And I did it before the fact. hypothesize, and we know they historically collapsed, just like the whales, just like the salmon, just like everything else, the Great Pacific Genocide. The greatest marine biologist probably in history, Kevin Blanch. Yeah, no credit. Right here in Riverdale, Utah, I walk in Trader Joe's to get some food, and he's like, "Hey, you're the tide pool guy." I says, "You from here?" "Yeah. I went to college at San Diego State. We used to all watch your videos." I said, "Did you get a marine biology degree?" "Yeah." "You came home working at Trader Joe's, huh?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, it's heartbreaking what happened to the ocean." "Yeah." And he says, "Even our professors used to say, well, people would bring you up and say, well, something radically happened in 2011-12. It's unarguable." And they say, "Yeah. Don't say the F word, whatever." The tide pool guy. I'll go with it. You know, my favorite tide pool is my favorite coastal California. Fuck, I have so many to pick from. I mean, I like the Central Coast the best, but I don't know. I love Point Reyes. I don't know. San Diego coast is so grand. So is Orange. Laguna. Oh, so beautiful there. I mean, Ventura, Santa Barbara, Monterey. It's got to be Monterey. On the Pacific Grove side. Up there by the golf course where the rock pools are, where my grandsons found those giant flowering sea anemones. Ooh, what's that smell? It's a dead whale in Carmel. Anyway, I'll get back at it. Stay tuned.